Get down. Let me clear my throat. Yeah. Oh, that's better. That's better. Somebody pass around the offering. Cause I'm always preaching on tracks, you feel me? I'm about to get paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informant, that information for me. Important, you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortunately, blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focused on scoring. Got your underperforming. I never expect something, never assume nothing. Judging me for my past, but that's why I'm triumphant. I don't demand, I know where I stand like engineer hands. Watch how my life pans. Cut that game plan. Show out like a jotter. Pop out like a cutter. Telling the kick rock, skipping the country squares like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my diddy boots. Ain't no stop. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without the need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without the need of a validation. Yeah. If having hope is dangerous, call me Evil Knievel. You leading on the wrong side, living with peasant needles. So lethal, made Shane Black wanna write a sequel. Cause I snuggle my dreams till the scene that's illegal. And I still
Happy Thursday. We can vibe out for a little bit, right? Vibe out for a little bit. How y'all doing out there tonight? I hope your week has been amazing and everything is well with you and yours. All right, we having some wardrobe malfunctions already. All right. We good. Anyway, happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to Thursday night on the Bravo with Sheila Network with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B, your usual Thursday night host. I hope everyone is doing amazing, and I hope your week has been wonderful. So, on tonight. Oh, all right, Anae, I got you. So, on tonight, good people. Normally we start at 7 o'clock, but every now and then we have special conversations that, we like to start a little later in the evening due to the content, So on tonight, since it was such a great segment last time, this is going to be a regular moment that we have on the Thursday night panel. Tonight we are having our after dark conversation. So just as for those of you who need to know, this is not business as usual. We know Thursday nights, this is not church, y'all. It's not church, not at all. We come to have the conversations that need to be had that other people don't want to have, but really need to be had. We want to come talk about the things that we need to talk about, but nobody really wants to talk about. However, we got to talk about them, because how can we get better from something? How can we move forward in something? How can we grow from something if we're not willing to talk about it? So it's these special segments like tonight that we have to take the time to explore some conversation topics so that we can be better at what we do and who we are, right? Right. So I know y'all are probably like, why is she talking like that? Why is she so calm? Because I want to ease our way into this conversation tonight. I'm excited as always, and I am so glad that you all are here. Welcome in, everyone, to Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B, on the most dynamic network on these YouTube streets, the Bravo with Sheila Network. Where here we are open to everyone's thoughts, feelings, and opinions. We are not Christian based, although those of us who come on this platform are believers. I always say I'm a God's girl, so you're gonna get a little Jesus when you get me. But we want to let you know that this is an open forum for healthy conversation and dialogue. We look forward to hearing your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, and we ask you to put that in the chat. Our only rule and number one point is respect. We want to be respectful to each other in our thoughts, our feelings, and our opinions. We don't have to agree. It's not one voice, one sound, but we do want to be respectful and embrace everyone's experience. Tonight, we are not talking as experts. Tonight, we are coming and we are sharing from our well of life and our personal experience. Though some of us are licensed clinicians and counselors and doctors and all of that good stuff, but tonight we just come to have conversation. We're not here to convict nor to convince. We are just here to have conversation so that we can grow from one another. So, with that being said, of course, as always, I want to give honor and salute to the queen bee of the Bravo with Sheila Network, Pastor Sheila herself. Bravo to you, Auntie. Thank you so much for yielding me this captain's chair, as always, so that we can have these great conversations. So, for those of you who are in the building on tonight, if you would just pop in the chat, just say hello. Let us know you're here so that we can greet you properly. And then hit that thumbs up button. It is free 99 for you, but it means everything to us, and we appreciate it. And if and when you are enjoying this conversation, don't be shy. You can always support us by hitting that super chat button. It doesn't matter how much it is. We appreciate it, as it all goes to helping us to build this network even greater than what it is already. All right. So we look forward to that. So let's see who else is in the chat on tonight. We have the greatest moderator to ever do it in these YouTube streets. The Anae Kenya is in the building on tonight. And we appreciate her so very much for what she does, because we couldn't do what we do if she doesn't do what she does. She is our support. Oh, and it is my Monday Beyond the Mic co-partner, host, whatever, however you want to put it. The Dr. Elaine Sanders is in the building, and we are so glad to see her. Listen, y'all, before I forget, and I want to put the disclaimer in as well, or the notification. Come on over here on Monday nights, because on Monday nights, we have Monday Beyond the Mic with Dr. Elaine and myself co-hosting, having great conversations where we are building relationships, helping people to build relationships by building themselves first. I promise you. And if you ever miss a show, I promise you it's good. So if you ever miss a show, you can always catch the replay. But meet us here on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just like you're meeting us here on Thursday nights, usually at 7 p.m. But tonight it's at a special time. Why? Because we know that no matter what conversation we're having on this platform on Thursdays, for some reason at 8:30, we always turn the corner and the ship goes left. So for our after dark conversation, we decide to start at an hour where we are about to turn the corner. So we appreciate everyone for joining us tonight, because we want to keep it real. I can't wait to get into this conversation. And also in the building, I see my sis who don't play about me. My sis, Marilyn Jackson, is in the building. Hey, sis, you know I love you so much. She is in the building. Her and Nathan. Hey, Nathan, how are you, brother? Good to see you guys. I'm glad y'all popped in. I'm sorry, I'm looking at me backwards, and I have a piece of hair in my eye. All right. So y'all drive safe while you are out there, and I appreciate you tuning in and listening in. So let's get to it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I forgot. If I did, we'll catch it on the back end. We ain't gonna worry about it. We're gonna get into this conversation tonight, because we don't have to be here all night, but we want to have a good night, right? It's right before the holidays. Some of y'all may have already started your weekend festivities. You know, I still have to work tomorrow, but you know, that's okay. At least I can work from home, so I'm happy about that. So on tonight, the Thursday night crew is going to be popping in and popping out. But, you know, hey, we work, we go with who we got, because who's meant to be here is going to be here. So, again, if you would just hit that thumbs up button, we'd appreciate it. If you also would like, subscribe, hit that like button, then subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of the dynamic programs that are here on the Bravo Sheila Network. We are still celebrating the fact that we hit 1K. Yes, and yes, we are doing the thing. We are doing it. We are doing it, right? We're clapping like that now. And we are so happy and appreciative of you all. And we ask that you would continue to subscribe and share and help us grow this network, because we are going towards our next goal. Now, I didn't forget I was going to do something special for the 1001 person. I got to get with a name and find out how we figure out who that is, so that we can thank them for taking us not just to the brim, but taking us over. So, hold on one moment. In the building, also, the world stops. Y'all know when Pastor Rosa, aka Mama Rosa, Legit, my mom, she pushed me out. I am her fourth of four. Okay, there was nothing else after me. I shut it down. Okay, she is my mama. Hi, mommy. Always do that. This the hell, I love her. The world stops. She comes in the room. She said, "Good evening, 404." See, just want to wish you a good show. Homework calleth, and I don't know if I'm adult enough for the after dark conversation. Have a good show. You're adult enough, mama. You should actually be on this platform, on this panel tonight, talking and sharing with us about this after dark conversation, ma'am. Because you got 4 kids. You got some experience that you can share. See, look, Dr. E says yes. See, you should be here helping us, mama. Help us. Come help us, mama. So on tonight, without further ado, I'm gonna pull up my girl, my partner. She's in these comments. Y'all know her, you love her. She is Coach Steele. This is my sis. She's a part of the ladies' room and our regular Thursday night. How you doing, sis? Good to see you in the house.
Hi, sis. Happy Friday Eve. How are you?
I am great. I am glad that we are as close to Friday as we're gonna get in this week, and until Friday actually comes. So I'm good with that. How about you?
I'm good. I'm just looking forward to logging off early tomorrow.
Listen, the blessing. Oh, the blessing in it. We are waiting. Mama said, "Hey, Theo."
Hey, Mama Rosa.
Mommy's in the comments. Let's see. Dr. E says, "Hey, Theo." Way to go. Just hey, Theo.
Hi, sis. Hi, Dr. Sanders.
And who else we got? Oh, we got none other than Landon Price in the building. What's good? What's popping, family? How are you? So glad you come on and join us on tonight for this conversation. So, I'm going to try to maintain my, I'm not, but I am. I was going to say, I'm going to try to behave on tonight, but y'all know my behaving, it takes on many different aspects. So, you're always going to get Lady Dawn B, period, no matter what, so.
But you're reformed, so they get reformed.
I am reformed. That's right. I am reformed, y'all. You're looking at the reformation of Lady Dawn B. Okay, that's what we do. So on tonight for this after dark conversation, I'm telling y'all, listen, y'all better lean in. Y'all lean in. We're gonna talk tonight. We're gonna talk tonight. So tonight for our after dark conversation. Our topic is sex expectations. That's right. Expectations. Now, what does that mean? We are talking about the expectations of sex in relationships and what that looks like. Now, we are not gonna, we're not talking Kama Sutra and stuff, people. We're not going that far. We're not delving that deep. But I don't know if you've experienced this, but within relationships and within the dating world, excuse me, there's always a point where the relationship starts to shift. We don't get into relationship with people that we are not attracted to. Sometimes it's a great, overwhelming, immediate attraction. Sometimes that attraction builds and brews over time. But either way, there's always a level of attraction when we get into any relationship. Especially male, female. Along with that attraction comes that desire, you hold hands, you want to hug, you kiss, we doing all the adult things or the grown folk things that connect us and keep us intimate and all the romantic stuff. But there comes a point in time where we are ready to cross that line and delve into that space of being intimate, the intimacy of sex, right? So I find in these days and times, and it could just be me, because I have been out of the dating scene for quite a while. At one point, I was like, I ain't dating no more. I was like, I ain't trying to be no more. I'm done with relationships. I'm not done with men, but I'm done with this relationship thing. Like, I'm tired. Like, y'all wear me out. I'm exhausted. I don't know what's happening. I just was like, I ain't do it. Get somebody else to do it. I don't want to. I was like, I will be the best first date everybody ever had. I said, I'm going to be like the first date, a serial first dater. But anything beyond that, count me out, because I do not want to deal with the pressures of building a relationship. Have you ever been there, Theo? Have you gone through that?
Yeah, I have gone through that. I have actually in the past, I think it might have been like 2012. I actually intentionally took 2 years away from dating and just dated myself. Right. I had to practice going to places, and even from my friends. Like, it wasn't just intimate relationships. Like, I really felt like I needed to take some time to get to know me. So I started like going to the movies by myself, right? Going to have coffee by myself, like just trying to do things by myself. Like, I still would hang out with my friends or whatever, but as far as dating, I seriously just was like, you know what? I need to just figure out me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had a little setback, but at least I took 2 years.
Right. You took a pause in your setback. That's all. It was just a little pause, a little detour. That's all. You was testing. You was testing to see where you was at.
But I have gotten to that point where I'm like, I'm just tired, right? I'm just tired of the starting over, meeting someone new, trying to get to know them trying to get to know you. So yeah.
Yeah, I find that, for me, I had stopped because I was tired, and then I realized part of my tired, and I've said this before on the platform, is that for whatever reason, like, I was attracting the same spirit with a different face.
Yeah. Oh yes. That's my story.
Yeah. So it's like, what the world? Like, what is happening? Like, but I also realized that my part that I played in that was the fact that and I'm probably gonna, if anybody's watching, it probably gonna be offensive, but I apologize to some of my formers. But at some point I found myself dating down. And that's why I kept getting the same spirit with a different face. And I say that respectfully. I know that sounds crazy, but I say that, but this is after dark conversations. This is what we do here. We keep it real. But when I say that, I mean that in the sense that I wasn't really dating. It doesn't mean that they were bad people. It doesn't mean that they were low fruit on the tree. What it means is that I was dating people that didn't really challenge me. It wasn't a challenge for me to grow forward. I dated people who were more like supportive of what I was doing and could be like, pretty arm pieces, so to speak, just got some good looking, don't be, got some pretty boys on it, but I was dating people that weren't really challenging my next. They weren't challenging me to my future. And I was not concerned about them challenging. I didn't even want them to challenge me, So purposely, I dated people that I didn't necessarily have to respect because, and this was my mentality. So I'm being honest, because this is what we do. Okay. We have an after dark conversation. We keeping it real. And I know some of y'all, maybe you can't say it because you might be sitting next to a person who, might be in this category. So we don't want you to get in trouble. Just blink if just blink if you need help. But, I found myself, I dated people that I didn't have to respect because my mentality was, you're not smarter than me. You don't have more than me. You can't outdo me. All of the things. So it doesn't matter what you say. And again, and I'm reformed, but I'm telling my truth because it's after dark. It's what we do. So I wasn't in positions where I was being challenged to better because I didn't want to hear nothing nobody had to say. And by being challenged, it would make me feel I didn't know how to receive what a man would be saying to me in the sense of the positive pushing me forward. I heard it in the negative always as criticism. Like, well, what you mean? I don't need your suggestion. What I've been doing is working fine. I don't need you to tell me what to do. You don't know how this works. This is what I've been doing. I don't want to do that because that's not my thought. That's your thought. So, I was really bad, y'all.
I did not know that, my sweet little sister. Like, I did not know that. Like, okay now.
Yep, this cuteness comes with some stuff, y'all. There's things that going on the inside.
I did not know.
I did.
People.
Oh yes, I did not, and I didn't even care. At certain points, I didn't even care. Now I know I'm not the only one who's had that kind of attitude. Always been in that space. I know I'm not. Let's see. We got a comment here. Oh, Mama Rosa. She said, I'm trying to hang out, but it sounds like that you had a cheering squad and not a suitable partner who had invested in himself and could challenge you to grow with him. You talking good, Mama. You talking good. Yeah, I did. I had a few. who were more of a cheering squad. And, so it put me in unbalanced relationships, which is not what you want. But
it sounds like you had people that did not, not only did not challenge you, but also were not up to like calling you on your stuff, like to be like, listen, young lady, or you're not going to talk to me like this. This is how, we're going to respect one. Like it sounds like you had someone that you had people that just took it and did not assert, like, hey, I get how you feeling, but you're not going to talk to me like that, so.
Yeah, I did. And I had a few, and that's my own fault, and again, and it's no disrespect to, and I think they were just courteous enough at certain point. And it wasn't everybody, but there were just certain people, within that mix. Because, I did date a young man, I can call his name actually because he and I are still friends to this day. And, we talk about it. We laugh about it now. But his name is Brian. He's Black. We call him Black. And he would be like, when we dated, I would have my whole meltdown and he would not even be bothered or moved or cared. My sister would be like, no, let me go get it. He'd be like, no, leave her alone. I got her. And she'd be like, no, you don't understand what you're doing. He's like, I ain't worried about her. And he would leave me in the corner. He'd be like, okay, fine. He'd be like, okay, are you done? Are you done?
So were most of the guys you dated in that category, were they younger than you? Were they the same age? Were they older? Like, what was the dynamic that
we were most of the same age. I've dated maybe, I want to say 2 people younger than me, and not very younger, not a lot of space, but they were definitely younger than me. And don't worry, guys, this is leading to our subject, sex expectations. Don't worry.
My next question was going to be what Dr. Lane said. Like, is it possible that there was a little bit of lack of confidence and insecurity that, when they looked at who you were, what you were doing, what you were capable of, like it made them kind of feel like, wow, I'm with this person, but should I really be with this person?
Right. And there was some of that. There was some of that as well. There definitely was. And some of it was my own insecurities, it's a way to have to control not having to change and not having to grow with someone, so there was a lot of that on both sides, I would say. Let's see. Solian Soul says, you can challenge yourself. Why are you looking for someone to do it with you? Well, that's a good question. And it's not that I was looking for someone to do it with me, but in relationships, we are here to help and to build, I believe, each other. So we are going to challenge each other. I'm going to challenge you to grow and to work through the things maybe that you've been struggling with, some things that you don't want to deal with, some things that you don't want to face, so that we are not carrying things with us, but we are working through them so we can get on the other side of them, so that we can be better, so that we can show up better. I always challenge myself personally. I will always push myself to be better. But in a relationship, you're not in it by yourself. If I can't helping you to grow, it's going to challenge you. It's going to challenge you to go beyond what you think, go beyond your uncomfortable spaces or your discomfort. It's going to challenge you to come out of your box. I may introduce you to areas in life or expose you to things that you have never been exposed to or dealt with before, and those are challenges, because when we end up in those spaces, we can be uncomfortable, especially when you're used to being in your comfort zone. So I hope that gives more clarity and answers your question. But yes, you can challenge yourself, and you should. And, and again, I do. And I'm also talking in past tense. So previous. So it's not that I'm looking for someone to do it with me, but when you're in relationship with someone else, you are doing it with each other. You're growing together as a unit, and you're growing as an individual. I'm not the same person now in relationships that I was, in my 20s, at my mid to really cross over to the upper side of 50s, so I wouldn't be who I am if I wasn't challenged, to get past my stuff, And then it's a blessing to have someone who can support you
Mhm.
while you are going through your challenges of growth. So I hope that adds to
Yeah.
it.
I mean, because it's kind of like you have to have someone that is going to challenge you in a way that is going to make you question some of the things you're doing, how you're showing up. You know, I always say to people and definitely to my nieces and stuff, I'm like, you always want to have someone in your circle, right? Like when I think about my friend circles or whatever, I always want someone that's smarter than me. Because if I'm the smartest person in my group, then
You need to switch
you
group.
know, right? Because so I think the same thing holds true for a relationship, right? You want someone that is not going to just accept everything you say or accept everything you do. They're going to be like, hey, you know, they're going to check you in love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you have to be willing to take that, you know. And I was at a place where I didn't want that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be in company, but I don't want you checking me, challenging me, pushing. I'm good where I'm at. I'll grow when I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have that mentality, you are blocking other people out of your life, out of different parts of you, you know. And I didn't want to be in a limited relationship anymore. So I had to do some stuff to get me together, which I did. And that's why I'm reformed. We know that's my word. Mama Rosa says, I think she dated down, just plain and simple. But that's my mama, and she would say that. But I did. And again, and it's no disrespect. You know, I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. But we date sometimes, you know, we date at different levels as you grow. And it spoke to where I was at, you know, and some of my own experiences. But it speaks to our expectations to when we get into relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but I think it also speaks to the fact that sometimes it's a kind of a safety net for us, or you know, because it's us protecting ourselves from something that we may not even know about, right? So we act out in a certain way, or we put up a wall, or we have this certain characteristic, and we're like, you know, this is just like I'm gonna speak for myself, right? You know, you go through that stage of this is me, this is who I am, right? And it's not until you begin to do the work, right, and you begin to really look at being emotionally intelligent and being self-aware, and even just wanting to really change. Like you have to get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm tired of being guarded, or I'm tired of putting up this wall by, you know, exhibiting this behavior. Because sometimes it's a way for us to sometimes unintentionally or intentionally try to push some people away, and they just don't seem to get the picture, and they just stay in it.
Right. And that's true. That is true. And I believe where I was so guarded and protective of myself that was another reason why I did not want to date people that would pull me out of that safety net. Like you said, you know, because this is my zone. This is where you know, where I am and where I want to be. Mommy says, exactly, Theo, a safety net is right. Well, sometimes when we don't check that safety net, it starts to break. It will start to break down. And even after a while of being in that safety net, it can't keep holding you, you know, because as you're going and you're growing and you're changing, change is inevitable, you know. And so we have to be willing to do it. And I think for me at that space and time, I really was not willing to be. I'm very stubborn. So when I set my mind to something, or if I set myself, it just is what it is, and I ain't moving. You know, but I've learned you can't show up in relationship spaces like that. You know, oh, look who's in the. No, I thought I felt the breeze come on through. It's Vaughn, Eric, or rather, as I say, Vaughn, the Invisible Man. Eric is in the building. He's a part of the Thursday Night Squad too. I don't care what you say, Vaughn. I don't care what you say. You forever Thursday Night Squad member. I don't care. He says blessings all. He puts all the L's because he wants everyone to have one and to know that he is talking to all of us. So good evening. It's good to see you. It's good to see you, Vaughn. Oh, look at that. Now I got to put Mama saying good evening to Vaughn. Look at that. See, Mom's talking to you. So tonight we are talking about sex expectations in relationships, and we're building towards that. I brought up that scenario because, again, it speaks to how we enter into relationships and why we enter into relationships, partially, and how we're showing up. When we get into these relationships, we all know at some point, sex is a part of every relationship, male, female, just we're going to keep it in that vein. Not leaving anybody out, but this is the perspective we talking about tonight. So I don't want anybody to feel offended or left out. It's not that. We're keeping it in this perspective on tonight. Everyone's thoughts, feelings, and opinions are welcome. We just ask that you put them in the chat respectfully, and that and that we dialogue. Feel free to put your questions, put your comments, your concerns, you want clarity, whatever it is. And we are more than happy to address, because we're here to have conversation and to grow. We can only speak from the well of our experiences in our lives. And so we are looking to glean from one another. So when it comes to this topic, and just that was talking about previously dating, in past times. Mm-hmm. Now, this time of dating in this new age world that we live in, I find that it is well different than what I remembered. And it could partially be me also, because I've been divorced for like 10 years. And so, just taking those breaks in between, I was like, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to do nothing. Just don't want to. And entering back into the dating world now, I find it is so eye-opening, because the way that sex appears to have shifted, or the expectation of sex appears to have shifted in relationships, in the expectation of it. It seems like it's expected up front and center, automatically. Like, I met you at 8:00 and by 10:30, you expected us to, have some type of, I don't know. It just seems like, and this is not all, but I find that there's just a common thread. I'm finding, and this could just be my experiences, like I said, because that's all I can really talk from right now, that more men are wanting to engage in conversations about sex and about how women feel about sex, because it seems like, and again, this is just my experience thus far, they're wanting to know, like, what's your entry point? Like, what is your, like back in the days, you just used to be like, I don't know if y'all did this, but I did this, like, is that the 90-day rule, like, ain't nothing more than a hug and a kiss and all of that, but for less than 90 days, nope, we gotta be at least 90 days before I do anything beyond that. Did you have that rule?
Yeah, I had that rule. When I would go on dates, I would take pictures of that license plate, right, sending it to my. That's how we did, right? Right. Listen, if you don't hear from me, this is where I'm at, and this is
where I was last seen. This is where I was last seen.
Right. But yeah, like you had those rules, right? It wasn't like you're just gonna meet somebody and wham bam, here we go. Right. And sometimes it was 90 days. Sometimes it was, let me I get to know this person, and then who knows, maybe it could be a little shorter. Like, it depends on how things are flowing, how things are going. But you can, I can't even remember the last time I've been on a date. So this, what you're just talking about, I'm like, okay. They coming out the gate talking about it.
Let me help you so that you are not ill-informed and you're not entering back in.
Like, you need to help me out. I
want you to be culture shocked like I was. Like, nobody helped me through this process, so I was not ready. But I do think that it's important. And Vaughn is hollering right now. I do think that it is important, in all honesty, that we do have those conversations about sex and what the expectation is of it in a relationship. Because some people value it more than others. Some people consider it major, like 100%. It is the number one primary thing that has to happen and go down in a relationship. The struggle that I also find with that mentality or with that thought process is that, women we have been taught that we don't talk about sex with a man. You don't allude to the fact that you like sex, or that you enjoy sex, or that you even want sex, because when you do, it makes it seem like you are easy, or you're fast, or okay, I'm gonna put it in plain language, or men will be like, oh, you a freak, and it's like, why do I have to be a freak? If I'm answering your question, you ask me a question about, my sexual preferences. And if I answer you, why do I have to be labeled as such? Because then that makes me not want to share that with you, because now you are adding fuel to the fire of how we are. And then you complain that, oh, women act like they don't want sex, or they don't like sex, and they don't want to talk about it. Well, when I do talk about it, you make it unsafe, because now you're labeling me as something derogatory. What are your thoughts on that, Theo?
I mean, but I think the other side of it too is, back in the day, right, there was also we heard women that give it up easily are not the women that the man is trying to take home to mama, or the women that the man is trying to marry, right? Like, how much that was drilled into you, right? Like, if you are giving it up like easily, and you're just right out the gate, like you're gonna be the one that, yeah, he's gonna be with you, but you're not the one that he's gonna try to take to the altar, or you're not the one he's gonna try to take home to mama, right? That's what we used to hear as well. But I also agree that, men will say they want a certain thing, but then they don't want us to express, like, even if you tell them, no, this is my spot, not there, right? Like, for some of them, they're like, wait a minute, right? They start to look at you differently if you speak about sex in a way that they're not used to, right? Because they might not be used to a woman who's able and willing to say, you know what, this is what turns me on, right? Like, you need to slow down a little bit, right? Or speed up a little bit, or whatever it might be. So I agree with that.
That's good. Hold on, I want to read Mama's comment. Mommy said, my last thought is this: it's the Generation Z principle. Not only have the young folks adapted it, and the not so young embrace it as a norm. Okay. It's the Gen Z principle. Right. Not only have the young folks adapted it, and the not so young folks embrace it as a norm. I think the not so young folks that's good, Mommy, embrace it as a norm, because, as we forget, we blame so much on society, but we are society. We are what makes it normal. And because nobody, or I don't really want to say nobody, it's not an absolute, but a lot of people don't want to speak up as to, what should be acceptable and what shouldn't. Everybody is not the same. So everything is not going to be black and white. And just because the majority is not always right, it's just not. And I think we have to lose that mentality too. What is normal is individual. There are some commonalities, yes. And I think that those should be societal norms. But I also think before we start labeling something a social norm, I think it's impossible to really do that unless you have surveyed every single human being on this planet from one end to the other. And then you can find the common thread. But usually research and statistics are targeted to a specific space, a specific, group and community that you may find common threads in. So even in this Generation Z principle, it's like that may be how, Generation Z moves. And yes, the young folk adapt to it, and the not so young ones embrace it, because this is just how culture is moving. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with holding on to your principles, whatever they may be. Just because your principles are different than what society is saying doesn't mean that they're wrong and that you should not voice them. Hey, sis, my sis Taryn is in the building. She says, good evening, all. Now, Taryn, I'm warning you now. We are having after dark conversation. I know this ain't church. So my sis, I know you're going to be chiming in this chat. We're talking about sex expectations. The expectation of sex in relationships. And where does it begin? What is the norm? Is there a norm? how do we get to this place of when it's okay or when it's not okay? Or do we need to have a standard as to what's okay? We've been taught so many different things that have bound so many of us, and I firmly believe that you're right, Theo, that we have been taught that, you're the one. That was a good point you brought up, that, the man who lays with you is not going to be the same one that marries you, every time you give that up. But I think a problem with that also is we teach that to our girls, but what do we teach our boys?
We don't. It's a double standard.
So you're coming into a relationship with a man that has been who gets championed for conquest, or how quickly you can sleep with a woman, or how quickly you can get her to be in some type of sexual escapade, and you get championed, but the woman gets degraded.
Yep. But going back to Mama Rosa's point, right? There is something to say about how things have shifted, right? Because I know some teenagers, like they're either in like maybe getting ready to graduate from high school, or in high school, or in college, where it's amazing. Like out here, I'll be like, well, oh, where's so-and-so? Like, where's the child? And it's like, oh, he's spending the night at his girlfriend's house, right? And I'm like, oh, that's the thing, right? So things have shifted, because now you have parents that are okay with like their son's or girl or daughter's mate or boyfriend or whatever friend staying over in the opposite sex. Like, I don't know where they're sleeping. Once I hear that, I don't ask no more questions, right? But it's a different, it's a different time, because we would have never even thought to ask our parents if a person of the opposite sex could stay over, right? And even at the point where I got to the point where I was in grad school, undergrad school, right, and still living at home, right, and dating, I would never even think about bringing some dude into my mom's house and then being like, oh, he's gonna stay over, because she would be looking at me like I'm crazy.
Gonna stay over where?
Right. So I think there is something to the fact that things have changed, things have shifted. And I don't know if that's because some parents feel like at least they're here and I know what they're doing and I can watch them, right? It's like the people that let their children smoke weed or do something. They're like, well, you can do it as long as you're in the house, right? So I think things have evolved, and which kind of leads to where you going out on these little dates and people wanting to have conversations about sex on the first date.
Yeah, and it's because of and I agree with that. And it's really because the expectation is, I found, is I don't want to waste my time. If I know sex is what I want and I know when I want it and how I want it and how often, if our qualifications, our expectations don't match, I don't want to waste my time dating you, because it's going to get to the point where we're going to part ways anyway. Because you're not going to be giving, if I say like by week 3, I'm expecting us to have some, what I'm saying? Like it's like, what we doing? These expectations, it's like you gotta have, and the only way you'll know actually is by engaging in these conversations. Because I need to know where your head is at. Because if I don't know, and week number 3, like after we've been bowling, into dinner, and you're like, so you coming to my house? I'm like, for what? What, we continue the date? We're gonna watch a movie? Like what? Netflix and chill has a whole different meaning nowadays than, or maybe it always had the same meaning, and I'm just realizing that.
I think the difference is there was a time when Netflix and chill meant Netflix and chill, where you could go to somebody's house and y'all just sit and watch movies or eat popcorn or whatever. So maybe it has shifted, but I think for me, then, if I'm sitting and someone is like, oh, they want to have this conversation, that's cool that you want to know what the expectations are. But for me, then I think that demonstrates to me we on 2 different levels. Because at this point, I'm thinking when you can possibly no longer perform, right? I want to know that I'm okay with sitting with you in a rocking chair on the porch and I still like you and I still want to talk to you. Because when you make it all about sex expectations, right? When you're no longer able to do that and you got to pop the little, the little blue pill, right? You want to make sure that I like you. I want to talk to you. Like there's something we have in common other than being in the sheets.
I agree. I'm with you. Like, and you got to, Vaughn is laughing. He said, what, week 3? Like, listen, this is real stuff, y'all. I
want to know where you meet these people at.
You'd be surprised. So, and the thing is this, these are not street people. They not people for, I'm trying to tell you, like, I'm trying to tell you. Like I'm trying to tell you. That's all I can say.
And they're like your age, like they're in your
age
bracket.
Yes, in this age bracket, in this space, and and it's crazy because but on one hand, I'm like, all right, that's your truth, and I'm glad that you're sharing it and you're walking in it. Vaughn gets real at week 3 apparently. I'm like, well, what? But you don't even remember what kind of soda I like to drink by week 3. What you talking about? Like, what are we doing? And when did we start doing this? Somebody tell me when this changed. Terrence said, I'm old enough now to say no ringing, no dingy. And that's right. Listen, I'm not mad at that. I am not mad at that. And I feel like it's okay to have the conversations. Because they're important. Because if you think about how many relationships have we been in where that conversation was never had, we marry people without having these conversations. And I think sometimes we also have to keep in mind of this. This is one thing that I've learned, that just because you are a great date doesn't mean that you're going to make a great spouse.
Yep.
So we have to have these conversations. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to have a sex expectation. I'm saying at what point in a relationship do you start having these conversations? Because we get together because there is an attraction. I am and I say it all, I have to concentrate every time I say it. And we've discussed this before, the sapiosexual who's attracted to intelligence. Mm-hmm. That keeps me more over your physicality, over the physical. Vaughn is hollering. He said, Dingy, I'm on the floor.
so Vaughn Eric, from a man's point of view, when should this conversation happen? From a man's point of view, when do you bring that conversation up?
And Terrence says, great date does not mean a great spouse. That part. It doesn't. I can be the greatest date you've ever had and be the worst spouse for you. Because we have to remember, those responsibilities shift. Those expectations change. And we need to be able to talk about all these other things. Like we talk about finance sometimes. We don't even talk about finances sometimes. That's another thing, but we go off of the fact that we have these euphoric dates and we enjoy spending time with each other. But when you get to building a life and building a home, you have to remember that is far more than just the bedroom. Vaughn, I'm trying to give you a little time to answer Theo's question from a male point of view. Rockology, Mr. Rockology is supposed to be in the house on tonight. Hopefully he'll be able to get in and share with us also from a male point of view. We hope you're enjoying this conversation so far. We are talking about sex expectations and in relationships, because the things that I have been encountering lately, baby, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I'm thinking like maybe I should go back to, maybe I should start practicing to be a nun or something, because I'm just, what happened?
But the other thing that people forget and need to think about as well, too.
What's that?
Sex clouds things. So when you not only have the conversation, right? Having a conversation is great. But when you are right out of the gate, right? You start dating someone and next thing you know, like y'all are intimate and whatever. For some people, some women, we stay there because it's good, right? Like, so you be like, Davey, you be like, this dude, right? But you're like, but man, right? So I think that's another reason to really think about when you're going to enter into an intimate state with someone, because once you get to that intimacy level, that could cloud your judgment, because you can make some decisions based on the fact, like, you calling them over to say, this ain't working out, but okay, one for the road, and then you're like, okay, wait a minute, I'm reminded.
Let me read this. Let me before you hit the road. Let me consider.
So I'm sure that, and I'm gonna say, because I know for me, I'm keeping it real. I know there were some dudes that I'm like, yo, this is some good stuff, right?
Yeah, like I could do without you, exactly. But the product that you offer is amazing. Like, and we work out a contract because yeah. So that's why it's important, one, to do the work, right? To really, like, thankfully we're reformed. So we're talking about in the past. So that's nobody listening to this, please don't think we're talking about this is how we are now, right? But if we're being real, I'm sure there are several people that could say they stay with somebody because every time they thought about moving, they were like, wait a minute, right? Because you know what you have, you don't know what you're gonna get. Right? Listen, that's the truth. That's the truth. Terrence said, "Say it, say it. It's the truth. It does, and it is something that you have to remember. And when a person is asking."
Exactly, Terrence. Right. Exactly.
The handiwork of the Lord can be. Yes, God. He does. He makes some beautiful, wonderful, marvelous are the works of his hands. That's the word. That's in the word. It's marvelous is. Lord, I thank you for every amazing specimen. Listen. Okay, let me bring myself back because I'm about
come back.
I'm about to tap out. I'm about to go to be like, child, listen, because there's some things God does. Vaughn says, Sarah said, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Vaughn said, that depends on the man. I must feel comfortable with the woman I'm with. Okay. And that is true. And thank you for that. Thank you for that shit. From a man's point of view. You have to feel comfortable with the woman that you are with. Okay, so let me ask you this, Vaughn. Say if you become the comfort level, you become comfortable with the woman, say, but is week 3 the week where you feel the most comfortable? And this is we put Vaughn on the spot. Vaughn is usually up here, but we're going to let him chill in the comments today. But it seems that, I think it depends on the amount of time that you spend with a person. So when we speak about our comfort levels, I can be comfortable with spending time with you and learning the person that you are for the extent of time that I've been in your company. But it takes another level of comfort for me to want to engage with you sexually. For me, that takes a little bit. It's well past week 3. I would say that. I don't know what's with week 3 with the people. I don't know.
I mean, but you literally have had people start this conversation with you after 3 weeks.
I've had people start this conversation with me within the first week. I have had people ask the question of and to be honest, and this is present day. Okay, now when we're speaking now, I'm speaking present day. And honestly, I don't mind. I've even had this conversation with my mother. And I said, I actually, at this big old age, I don't mind having a conversation about my expectation of sex, and where and when I expect for it to engage with it. Vaughn said, can be week 1 or 3 or beyond. See, it's in the 1s and the 3s. I'm just saying, listen, we trying to help the people, y'all. This is important information. So y'all know what to expect when you go in there so you don't get caught off guard. Because I promise you, I was thrown off. And I was like, well, you don't even know my middle name, but you asking me about my sexual,
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't mind having a conversation, but I don't even really know you to know. Like, I may have been attracted to you. I may have looked at you and be like, right? Like, I could see myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not asking you week 1, 2, or 3 what your preferences are, because I want to get to know you first. Because you might look good, you might smell good, you might dress well, right? I might be physically attracted to you, but along the way, after we talk a little bit, I might be like, okay, you know, the two ain't lining up, right?
Right.
So,
It's not the math ain't mathing.
yeah.
And I think, but it really, and I think also now that we're mentioning this and talk about aging and time, I think it also starts to happen because we are all older, you know. So it's kind of like let's get these questions out of the way, and it doesn't mean now.
It's kind of like I need to know when I need to start taking my blue pills.
Right. You know, maybe. So I know when I need to order so I won't run out or anything like that, you know, but it's never like a pressure it's not the pressure to engage in sex or to meet that, but it's what is your expectations when it comes to sex. And I find that a lot of men nowadays are more inquisitive or asking that like up front. And I like, again, maybe it's just me, I don't know, I'm like, am I giving off some kind of signal? I don't know, I need to check myself. I don't think I am, but I find that they are questioning and asking as a part of the normal conversations that you have in getting to know someone. You know, it leads into a conversation of sex because at this big old age, people don't want to waste time. Like, they're like, listen, we got more time behind us than we have in front of us. And, you know, so they want to know what it is. Y'all are killing me in the comments. Vaughn said you can feel good in week 3. Week 12 feel the opposite. That's the truth. That's the truth. That is the truth. Week 2, I was still, week 2 and 3, I was still in, you know, I'm still in the butterfly stages, and you're still every bit of amazing because you're the new thing. By week 12, like, you know, we done ran some track, we done put some time, you know, and it's like, hold up now, or not. It's not as exciting now. Terrence said tariffs are coming. Right.
And you know the other side.
Right. Everybody's trying to get it in before the tariffs come.
But like, what is the like? It also depends on like how the conversation is going, how it comes up, how much. Like, is it just like so much? Like, is it overwhelming? Like, is it just like everything is about sex expectations? This is what I expect. What do you want? Or is there just like, okay, I just want to get a feel for it, and then let's move on? Because the other side of it is if you're talking about it and you're, you know, you want to talk about it and what you're gonna do to me. Like, it depends on what is that conversation. Because the other side of it is if you're the dude that is asking me what my sex expectations are, and then you want to tell me how you perform or what you're capable of, right? Then when the time does come, 12 weeks, whatever, how many times, and you don't live up to that, now we got a problem.
Right. Because what you had said was in week number 2, let's go to the tape. Let's get the receipts out.
Exactly.
Right. I think, well, in the conversations that I've had, it's never been that straight out blunt. Like, you know, I pick up the phone like, hey, how you doing? So yeah, so listen, so tell me a little bit about, you know, like when we get it on and pop it, it's like it's never that. It's always wrapped within a conversation. And the conversation, I will say, it does organically just grow to the topic of sex in relationships. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's kind of like when men people want to know your body count. You know, people don't usually just, I mean, I know some people that do kind of just straight up ask you like, so what's your body count? Mm-hmm. You know, and I'll be like, I'm sorry, what? Like, why does that matter? If I say 2, then you're going to feel I'm inexperienced. If I say 52, you're going to feel like I've been around the world. You know, like it does that matter?
I don't know. You're going to be like, what's going on, right?
Right. So no answer is the right answer at all, you know. But when it comes to the thing of sex expectations, my thing is this: it doesn't matter what I did. If we're going in this vein, it doesn't matter what I did with the last person, because you're not the person that I was previously with. I'm not trying to relive whatever happened with the previous person, and how I respond and relate to you in a sexual way is totally different than the last person I was with. So why are we having that conversation? You know, why are you worried about how soon we had sex, or, you know, how do you wait to have sex? Well, everybody waits. It's how long are you waiting?
Have you ever had someone ask you like to compare them to someone else?
Yes, I have.
Really? Look at you and your experiences.
Surprise, y'all! Surprise! I told you this cuteness comes with some stuff. Yeah. I have, and it has been the wildest thing. And they're like, "Well, don't you want to?" No, I don't care who's okay. The biggest turn off for me is when you're asking me, do I want to know about your previous? I don't care anything about her. And if you're still thinking about her, I need you to go back to her, because I don't want to be compared to anybody. Vaughn is hollering.
Well, how have you answered that question? Like,
I would I could be kind of ignorant, you know, at times. So
okay. How did you answer it when you were dating down? When you were dating the people you started telling us about that were not on your level? not the reform Dawn.
Other Dawn, pre-reform Dawn. Yeah. I could be kind of ignorant. I really can. I'm really been. I'm gonna get it together.
We might have to have an after dark conversation.
We have to have an after dark the post show. I can't stop. Okay, bringing it in. Oh God, I'm crying. So I wasn't always the nicest at times. It really depends. I have been in a position where one of the questions I hate is when men ask, was I the best, or I'm the best you ever had? I'm like, bro, you just took me out of my whole total space of enjoying whatever just happened, because Mom said complete darkness. That's gonna be the after show. Complete darkness. Vaughn, I'm gonna loop you in. I'm gonna send you the link for the after show. Come backstage. Wait, let me read these comments and then I'm gonna answer the question. I need it. It's gonna help me bring myself in. I can't.
Listen, I'm just listening. My little sister is just revealing stuff.
I heard you. Elaine said, in healthy relationships, you grow as a team. And if not, the relationship will become stagnant. She also says, in healthy relationships, you grow on together levels. I agree.
She's reeling us back in.
Thank you. Because listen, okay, it's just that took me out. And Terrence said, blue light show. Yes. It's going to be the complete darkness blue light show. Or the blue light show in complete darkness.
I'm just trying to learn some stuff.
Okay, so in certain situations, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm being completely honest, and I know I'm not the only one. But it really depends on how much I liked you as a person. You know, if you are, and sometimes I'll be like, no, you weren't better than my ex. You know, and then they'll be offended. And I'm like, but you asked, you know.
That's a question you don't want the answer to.
Right. And they were like, well, what do you mean? I wasn't, why did you ask me? I didn't say that you weren't good. I just said that you weren't better, because now you've made me stop and compare and think when it wasn't even, you introduced the comparison to me. I wasn't comparing you to anyone. You know, I'm trying to be in this moment. That's the problem with comparison for me, is that it takes you out of this moment. I don't want you to compare me to whoever you were last with. And if you're still dwelling on whoever you were last with, then I feel like then you need to be there. Then you need to go back there for that. If that is what is your last memory, I'm trying to give you a new sensory memory, knock the old one out. You know, like you ain't got to remember that. There's some new stuff happening over here. This is what you need to get with. Elaine says develop as a team. That's right. When it comes to that space of, being intimate sexually, because intimacy is on many different levels. I don't want to bring other people in the bedroom with me. I feel like if you're bringing other people into the bedroom with us, then I haven't done my pre-work properly, because I don't need your mind to be remembering when she did whatever to you, no, I don't need that, because you need to learn something now. And then if you're comparing it to the past, how are you able to enjoy this moment for what this moment is? And vice versa. So there have been times where I have been honest, and I'm like, well, you asked, and I'm like, no, you weren't great at it. I mean, you were good at what you did, and it was a great moment, but now you've ruined that by asking. But I think that has a lot to do with the male ego. What do you say, Vaughn? Complete darkness. Is that a true thing? I don't know if you've ever asked that question, but do you think from the male perspective that when men do ask that question of the comparison to the ex or to the prior, does that come from, and again, this is not all men, we just want a male perspective. Is it from the place of the male ego, or is it because you really want to be him, like you want to be that guy? So while we're waiting for you to answer,
because dudes be having these conversations, right?
But dudes, these conversations with dudes.
That's what I'm saying. Like they have, they'll talk about, someone they met or they feeling or whatever, and so, or I met this honey and she said this or she did that, or I asked her this.
No, it's true. It's true. So let me ask this question in the meantime, and chat chime in. Okay. I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna keep it basic. So Theo, I'm gonna ask this, and you guys in the chat, y'all chime in on it. Does sex begin? Do you believe sex begins in the bedroom or way before we get there?
It's before, I think. Well, for me, I think I'm going to say it depends, right? Back in the day, I'm talking about
before
but even back in the day, right? I think because of my love language is quality time, right? And so I think for me, right, it starts before, because it's kind of like that holding hands and cuddling and getting to the point of I desire you, right? There are times when you're like, wow, I just just meet me. I'm gonna show up at your house in the trench coat, right? And nothing else. But right, but we have to talk. So right, so there are those times, right, where I admit I have been like, I'm gonna put on my little trench coat and I'm gonna drive over here and I'm gonna knock on the, whatever. But I think for me, it starts before that. Like I need not only just the mental foreplay, but also a little bit of just get me in the mood, right? So yeah, for me, I think it starts before. Okay, but it also depends on the mood, because like back in the day, like I would, I'll do the trench coat. I would be like, what?
That part. Yeah, I'm with you, sis. I'm with you. That's for real. Anderson QT. Elaine says, for women, we have to be mentally ready before the act. Yeah. She also said, not the trench coat. Theo, listen, you pay good money for that trench coat. Okay?
Yeah. Because the other thing,
you gotta get your use out of that trench coat now.
But I think the other thing is that women forget, right? And it may be because of what you said earlier, how we are, we're told that, we're not supposed to like it, we're not supposed to talk about it or whatever. But how do you keep especially when you're with someone, especially for people who are married as well. Because I think definitely for people who are married, how do you keep your relationship exciting, right? Not just
Right.
outside of the bedroom, but inside of the bedroom, right? Think about your man coming home from a hard day of work. He don't want you to meet him at the door with a whole bunch of questions and griping or whatever, right? He going want some quiet time. But imagine the day he comes home and you just standing in the middle of the floor
Just
with
saying it.
some high pumps on. That's it, right? You know, you got to do things to keep the relationship spicy and going and all of that. So, but I definitely agree with you know, Dr. Elaine. Like for me, maybe not all women, it really is a mental thing, even down to the fact of planning that trench coat thing, right? Because as you think about that, like that's an intentional, you know, you're doing it with an intention, right? You're doing it because you want to catch them, you want to surprise them, but also you want to see if they're excited about it, how they react to it, right? So
Right.
yeah.
You know, I agree. I just want to say about them pumps now, ladies. You got to have a pair of indoor shoes, okay?
Yeah.
Now, just keep in mind the indoor shoes. It don't matter how high they are. It doesn't matter if they're stilettos. Don't matter. It doesn't matter because they're for the indoors. They never touch the floor. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, I'm gonna leave that right there, and you run with it because it's after dark. All right. So now Vaughn Eric says he was answering the question. You want to read his answer, Theo?
He says, I never asked that question. Some men ask that question because it's important to them to please the woman they care about. Oh, okay. All right. So they're asking that question. So let me think about it. They don't need to ask though if the person before was better. They could just ask you what you like but I get where some men might ask that question because they're like, oh, maybe I gotta do it this way instead of that way. I don't know. Yep, the pumps are a requirement. I used to have some, I think, because you know I don't really do pump high heels, but I used to have some 4-inch pumps that never saw the outside.
They're not supposed to.
Specifically for the indoors.
You gotta have a pair of indoor pumps, ladies. You don't need to walk in them.
And not really pumps, lady. We talking like stilettos.
The heels, the stilettos, like that's right, Vaughn. You have to have indoor shoes or your indoor boots.
Yeah.
You know, listen, get you some. You won't regret it. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. You know, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. And he will too. But you got, like you said, that speaks to the, you know, letting it be creative and being a part of. My dude EDT's in the house. Hey Edwin, thank you for joining us on tonight. Y'all say hi to Edwin, y'all.
Hi, Edwin.
He won't be his first time, won't be his last.
And so since we're after dark, just real talk, right? For me also, right? I like a dude in some Timbs and some jeans, like, you know, that look, that's another turn on for me, right? Like, you know, you don't have to not have clothes on to have someone be like, oh, right?
Absolutely. I agree. You know, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, what presentation matters. Outdoor pumps. Vaughn. Listen,
come on, Vaughn. You know, you've dated some women.
When it happens, though,
he dated some women that have had indoor pumps only.
Right, where the pumps don't hit the floor. They might touch the ceiling, but they never hit the floor. You know, that's just saying. You know, so it don't matter. It don't matter. This is after dark talk, so we can't. Right. There's nothing like a good indoor shoe. There's nothing like a good indoor shoe. But you're right, and it lends to it doesn't have to
Edwin is like, what did I come into?
Those are shoes that women have that we keep on inside the house. They are not meant to be worn outside, you know.
They're not necessarily meant to be.
It's not. Our channel is wholesome. It is family oriented. It is friendly. It just happens to be tonight's segment is After Dark, where we have real conversation about real things. We don't use profanity. We're not vulgar. We keep it classy, but we keep it real. We just talking 100%. Tonight's conversation is about sex expectations, the expectation of sex in relationships, and where it enters in, and how it comes to be.
Okay, barbecue sauce.
Okay, see, Vaughn, I hope you're taking a note, Vaughn. I hope you're taking a note. See, Elaine went Elaine says, Vaughn, the woman who climbed through the window, had on Spidey pumps. Listen, she had to make it up the side of the building. She had to.
The woman that climbed through the window. Tell me, who is this woman? Did I miss
Vaughn has to Vaughn.
Well, I'm gonna have to tell that story.
Vaughn has to tell his story. I cannot. You know what? Okay. Listen, I just finished crying. I just got my life back.
Listen, listen, it's after dark. It's what time? 9.
Well, we do after dark. We start at the point where we turn the corner. Welcome to Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B. We about to, hit the completely dark blue light night. That's the after party.
And they glad our other girl in here, because could you imagine?
What? Oh, Lord, no. I can't wait. It's a shame that the ladies and the rest of the fellas was in here, because you already know we be here till midnight.
This is light stuff.
Right. We keeping it easy for y'all tonight because the whole crew ain't here. We keeping it real, real easy. But we trying. Elaine Vaughn said he can't stand it. Oh, only on Thursday nights, y'all. Welcome. You don't know what you missing. The Innisfree that climbs in the window with pumps will get her back. Okay. Hey, Edwin is just making a point, y'all. Welcome to Thursday night after dark. This is what happens after dark. But we're talking about sex expectations. But yeah, I don't want to have to ever compare who I'm currently with who I was with previously. I don't want to think back to them. I want to be present in the moment.
Why are we having that conversation?
Right. It don't matter. So my thing is, again, like I said, I wasn't so nice. But if you asked me, again, depending on how much I liked you, I'd be like, well, again, like, nah, bro, you weren't better, but if you keep trying, you might. And I don't want to have to give you lessons and tips. I don't want to have to do that. Like, let's learn each other in our space. You know what I'm saying? Because if I was to say to you, when you ask that question, if I was to say to you, well, here's his number, why don't you ask him? Ask him what he did. Ask him what.
Exactly. Edwin said it. Exactly.
He said, I failed. That should never be a question. That and am I the best you've ever had? Those are two questions that's going to get your feelings hurt, like big time. Like, don't do it to yourself. I don't care if I'm the best you ever had. I'm the best you having right now.
I mean, and you know what's so crazy? It's like, I'm so glad that I have done the work, like I have grown, like I matured. Because I will tell you, back in the day, like, dudes would be like, you're so cold, right? Because I would just say, like, I was like you. You ask me a question, I'm going to answer the question. Don't answer a question that you don't really want the answer to.
Right. And then you mad at me because I answered you. It's like, but you asked. So So what did you, like, what in the world? You said, I fired myself in the bedroom. You know what?
Well, true. Like if you ask that question, basically you have, because now you're like,
You already know the answer. You already know. Listen.
The other thing, because that is the other thing. Like if you had to ask that question, then you're wondering, it's like, you didn't do your job.
This is. I was gonna say, if I could, because it's after dark, right? So I could. It's after dark. It's after dark. If I can breathe enough to answer you in a full sentence.
Exactly. If I don't roll right over and be like, I need to take a little nap.
Right. I need some water and a nap. Like, because swallowing my spit right now, I might not even have no spit to swallow. Just saying. Like, I'll talk to you in 20 minutes. I'm going to talk to you in a little bit. Just because right now I can't, Elaine said communication is key. Before you lay down, you need to talk straight up and have real conversation. And that's the truth. And that's what I said. We
need to have the conversation.
We do. And it's important, and people shy away from it. And more women need to be open about what you feel. And again, this is not something, don't get me wrong. Don't get us wrong. We're not saying that this is a conversation that you have with every single person. This is a conversation that you have, the depth of the conversation about the sex expectations or expectations that you have of sex in a relationship, as a conversation that you have with a person that you feel connected to, that you are expecting the relationship to go somewhere, that you want to lock in with and you want to move forward. We have natural attractions to people. You can meet somebody today and you have a really good vibe. You instinctively, naturally have, just organically have a real good vibe and you feel cool with them. And as you're talking and as you're growing, together, you start to, I want to share this with you. This is how I am. This is what I like, what I don't, and it just depends on how that conversation goes. But yes, it goes to that communication. Also, hell, darkness with no light. Now we have darkness with no light.
Like we feeling out here, like we can't.
Right, just roaming around in the dark.
but in all seriousness, another reason why the conversation is important, especially with everything that you just said, right? This is someone that you're thinking you want to be with, you want to have a relationship with, you want to move forward. You do need to have that conversation, because I've known people who, if the woman has had a history of either being sexually molested, right, or other types of trauma, right, one, the man might need to be aware that they're not ready to have that conversation, right? Because of that experience. Or they may also need to know that you have to tread lightly with this woman because of her past experience, right? So that's another reason why I do believe that the conversation needs to take place. But I do think people have to be, respectful, and they have to be mindful of, there are some topics that you bring up that might be a trigger for people.
That is true. That is true. And that's a real thing. A sensitive point, and it's men and women, because we have to remember that men have also
experienced that,
those type of violations. And so again, that conversation and that communication is very, very important to have, and the respect level has to be there. So we were talking about
like we're in the dark now with no lights. That's what we were talking about.
Right, darkness with no.
What?
And Vaughn, you got a new friend here now. And we're talking about darkness, just darkness. Landon says, better know it, arm it up, but you be ready for convo. Yeah, you gotta be ready to have these conversations, because again, everything is not now, it's nice to explore and figure it out along the way and whatnot, but there's some basic conversation that you have to have before, that you have to connect with, so that you can understand what may trigger or make your partner feel violated. And if and when that happens, how do I recover from that? How do I walk you through it? How do I How do I accompany you through that so that your violation is not the last memory that you have? Because even when you do that, you're helping that person heal. I have to make it a safe enough space for you to say, baby, listen, this is what happened. This is what I experienced. And sometimes when I feel like this, it starts to trigger back the memory of those things, so it's more, I'm not even fooling with you, Edwin.
Yeah, we're not.
You took it to a whole nother level now. That's a whole nother level.
That's the after dark.
That's after dark. We got to keep it within the pocket. We got to keep it within the pocket. This is still a family channel. Elaine said, I have a question. When should the person who does not believe in sex before marriage tell the person of interest? You want to go first with that, or you want me?
I gotta think about it.
This is someone fired. Then, oh my goodness. I think that conversation, I believe it should happen organically. But I think that there are some conversations that allude to it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say on like the first and second, again, I don't know what it is about week number 3. Something happens in week number 3.
Maybe that's when it comes up. Maybe it comes up when that week 3 or 4, whenever that conversation comes up. Maybe that's when they ask you what your expectations or however they ask you the question, that you say, this is what I believe, but I've decided that I'm not gonna have, I have a friend that when him and his now wife got engaged, at the point of engagement, they both decided they weren't going to have sex until they got married. But they was having sex before, I think. I don't know. I never asked. But I know when they got engaged, they intentionally said, we're not going to have sex again until we get married. But I think when it comes down to when you tell the person that you don't believe in having sex before marriage is when, like you said, that the organic conversation comes up.
I think.
Oh my God! Let me talk. Let's say, okay, who's this?
This Edwin. He said, Elaine, I met a crazy girl like that from my POV. I just fired them.
for that question. Okay. So Edwin, if someone she told you that she was not interested in having sex until marriage, and you were like, you're fired, you popped her balloon. And
Edwin, I need you to answer gently.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I need y'all to understand Edwin is a different kind.
You know the show I'm talking about, right? Have you seen that show on TV where people are standing there?
Yeah, you popped the balloon. That's what we said. Yeah.
Yeah, Evan, don't answer the question. Don't answer the question.
Because he's gonna tell you. He's gonna tell.
Don't answer the question.
He's gonna tell you straight away.
Oh, she has 3 grown girls.
3 grown adults.
But maybe she has decided that she wants to, like with my friend and his girl. Maybe she's decided that, like, although she has these 3 grown children and have been having sex, that she wanted to turn over a new leaf.
Well, see,
I can't. Listen, she had a reason for deciding making that decision. Age 53 with 31.
Oh, they grown. He's like, no.
Yeah.
He said, no. He said she was just crazy. She was just
maybe she had been dating, maybe because she's been dating people and it's not going anywhere. And maybe she said, maybe if I tell these people, I don't know. Let me stop. I don't even know. I'm trying to help her. I don't even know what, so I'm just going to stop.
Like, because Edwin is going to give me, he's going to tell,
he already said no. And then he's going to be no. And the no.
We're going to have to bring him up in a minute. So, all right. So my next question.
I'm done.
Oh, I love Thursday nights. This is why I love Thursday.
Like we might have to start having these conversations like at 12 midnight. I don't know.
It's about to turn that way. It's about to turn.
And I'm like, you know. Listen, I am an innocent. Like I feel like I am being what's the word?
Influenced?
Yes.
Am I badly influencing you?
Because I didn't even know this was the topic. Like when you said the topic, I was like, wait a minute. But that's probably because I was sick for last week's topic, so I thought it was that topic.
Oh,
that's when you talked about pretty girls and big, right?
Oh yeah, that's next week. Next week's topic is gonna be pretty for a big girl.
Oh, okay.
That's gonna be next week's because we're gonna talk about that is a backhanded compliment. It's not a compliment at all, and we talk about just the body positivity, you know, and how your physicality it's not the end all be all of everything. Elaine says she could have had children with her ex-husband. True. Very true. Very true. All right. I'm going to ask this question, y'all. Tonight has been, you know, you never know what you're going to get on Thursday nights. You know, and I don't even think I greeted the people up in the bleachers in the silent sections. And I'm so sorry. My manners are just all off.
Everyone entered the room. It just turned the whole.
It did. That's what happens when it's after dark, you know, because we start at the turning point. Edwin said, Elaine, she's a crazy Christian that had 2 different babies, now wants to play virgin. Oh, welcome to After Dark. This is true story. This is his. Listen.
This is it. Why she got to be a crazy Christian?
We need to get Edwin to tell his crazy Christian story, and Vaughn needs to tell you about his window climber. You know, and that's gonna be a whole show by itself. It's gonna be a whole show. So,
I'm like, why she gotta be crazy? Why she gotta be a crazy Christian?
I can't. So let me ask this question. I'm trying to bring it back in. You know, I had lost myself before. I got myself back together now. Edwin says, indeed.
What's the question?
So, all right. So the question is this. And again, you know, y'all engage in the chat and share. So does sex, and again, this is we're all sharing from our experience and our opinions and our feelings, and it's okay. Does sex make or break a relationship? For you, does sex make the relationship or does it break a relationship?
The younger me, it was a, you know, it could have been like, this is done. The older, the mature me,
the
reformed mature me recognizes that there's more to a relationship than just sex, right? Because when it's no longer possible, you have to still like the person. You still have to have something in, you know, that you guys have in common. You know, you like talking to them. You know, you like hanging out with them. You like being with them. You know, I'm not dealing with him right now, but because what I.
No.
I'm just gonna say
I don't even know what else to do.
The younger me, it might have the mature me. No, it doesn't necessarily break that. I mean, there is some you know, there is. It is a part of the equation, but it's not. I'm done. I don't even know what to say.
It is hard to recover tonight.
I don't even know what to say because
Edwin basically says it's gonna make the relationship in his book. That's
I'm trying not to say what's in my mind. I'm really
but this is after dark. This is after. Welcome So Thursday night. I'm sorry, I ain't said it in a minute.
Because the reality is, in all seriousness, right? Sometimes
God.
if you know what to do with it, the inches might not, but
Don't matter. Listen, it's the magic within the wand. It's the skill
exactly.
set with the wand. If you know what to do, then you are right. Because it's not gonna matter.
This might be popping.
Right. If you have so since we're there, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna leave it alone. See, I can't even because my I had to take a drink. Okay. So you you know what? I'm not even Landon says make it because together we can be so much better. Hopefully not any worse. Yes, Landon, thank you. That is a good point.
That's in response to what question?
Does sex make the relationship oh God. Okay, what is
yep, so I agree. That's good.
does sex make or break a relationship? I can't Edwin.
But no, that's true. No, it does because I don't even know what to say at this point.
I can't. Now y'all love one Edwin, okay, y'all?
What are those little hearts? What are those little hearts? I don't know.
I'm scared. It's sure what they are. At this point, I don't know. I don't know anymore.
I can't. Oh my God.
Enough before. We have gone a whole nother level of after dark. I'm here for it, y'all. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to start at 10 o'clock. Especially
after dark. The kids gotta be in bed.
If Edwin is gonna be, we're gonna have to start at 10. Okay. Landon says that's a question to ask women because ladies really look at it totally different. Okay. So oh God. From my perspective, does sex make or break a relationship? I think it does both, actually. It makes the relationship. It is not all to a relationship. I'm not going to downplay and make it seem like sex is not a intricate part of it.
It's an intricate part of it.
Yeah, it is. It is an intricate part in any relationship because it's another level of our connection. I view sex as it is the physical act of how I feel about you. You know, it is as closest. Oh God, Edwin, we don't want to know that. We don't. Okay. All right, and you should because it's yours.
Yeah, that's it.
It's yours, and you got it, sir. It's all yours.
But I do think it's like I think it is important, and like you said, it can make or break it because what happens to the like I know people where there was a breakdown in the relationship, right, because of some other issue, right, and then the response was the woman decides that she no longer wants to be intimate, right, with her husband, and that could create an issue, right? Because now, most men we will hope most men would be like, okay, let's see if we can work this out. Let's do counseling, and no matter what, I'm not gonna step out on my wife. But then you have some men that if they're not getting it right from home, they may go somewhere else. So I do think that, if you have not reached a point where you're not physically able to have sex, that you really do you really do need to make sure that that's a part of your relationship that you pay attention to.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. You have to be willing. Again, I just really, but you have to be willing to have those conversations, and understand each other on that level. We have to know each other's sensitivities.
Yeah.
And if Edwin, you firing everybody.
I mean, yeah, you do have to know each other's sensitivities. And I think that's where the conversation becomes important, right? Because the conversation should never really stop, right? Because it starts at the beginning of the relationship. As you both grow and evolve, right?
Mhm.
You may have to have another conversation because things may shift, especially when women start going through menopause, right? Or have other hormonal issues, right? So there may have to be another conversation. Or, say the man has a medical condition, right? So so I think it is important to also have those conversations about how will we navigate,
Right.
right?
What's
Things
the
like that.
plan?
What's the plan, right? Because how will you navigate that? What happens if, because of prostate cancer or because I'm diabetic or whatever, I can no longer really perform the way, I would want to, right? And it's not anything other than it's a medical condition, right? So I do think just keeping those conversations, it doesn't have to always be, a conversation you're having every day, but I do think you have to have some type of agreement on how you will navigate if those issues ever come up.
That's true. That's true. You have to have that, especially because everyone's we all change hormonally. We all shift. Our desires change as men get older. The same thing happens. You hit that midlife crisis age, and you just can't. Like your desires, everything changes. You're chemically imbalanced and hormonal changes and shifting, and we all have to have a plan in place. And that's why sex cannot be the only or the most important and the major thing. Sex to me, again, it is the physical, it's my response or reaction or the physical side of my emotional feelings towards you. Edwin says menopause, that means she's done. It doesn't mean she's done. It just means that she's at a different point, and like she's done having kids, hopefully. Because sometimes sometimes somebody ends up with a menopause baby, which is crazy, but I'm like, I ain't falling for that okie doke. Landis says, thanks for mentioning the no sex part or seasonal change too. The internet really changed how relationships operate. That's the truth. There's the truth. We don't take time to consider that as time goes on, as we get older and we age, what if they're in an accident and you can't perform in the same ways that that you used to, and that's just the truth of the matter. You have to make adjustments. But like Theo was saying earlier, I have to like you. There has to be a degree of like for the person that you are and a degree of love that I have for you that I want to say, and use this word loosely, compensate for those physical changes when they happen. So I don't put the majority of the weight of a relationship into a sexual encounter, because 9 times out of 10 we spend more time outside of the bedroom than we do inside. Edwin says, for the 2 ladies on the panel, are you more sexual at your age now than before?
I mean, I don't know if I can really answer that question. I can say this: I'm a very passionate person. Right, I do. It is something that is important to me. But I have not, like I said, I have not dated in a while. I have not been intimate with anyone in a while. But I would say I'm a passionate person. But at my age, I think about sex differently, right? Because I'm 59, right? So that is not the most important thing to me. It's important, but there are other things that are more important than that. Because like you said, there are things that may happen in the person's body that I'm with that means they might not be able to, right? Like, it could be a medical condition. It could be so many things, right? So for me at this stage of the game, It's important, definitely. Like, I always say when I'm looking to date, right, I need you to be a young 50 something, right? I don't need you to be, I'm not looking to date someone that, like,
Right.
for me, I take care of myself, right? I work out, I eat healthy, I try to, I'm still active, right? All of that. So I'm looking for the same thing, but also I'm going into a relationship with, this is a partnership. We're growing together, right? What are our goals? What are we doing, right? What if it comes to the point where we can't, like I said earlier, that we can't, right? Do I like you enough that I want to sit on a porch with you in a rocking chair and talk to you? Or is it going to be one of those relationships that I remember? I had a friend, and the first time I went to her parents' house, like, they had separate rooms, right? Like, I never want to get to the point where I'm in a separate room, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know why that was. There could have been a whole bunch of stuff going on. But my point is, at this stage in the game, I would say I'm passionate, but it's not a game changer, because I never know what can happen to someone.
Okay. I think for me, I don't think I'm more sexual at this point. It just depends on how you're defining sexual or sexuality. Um, I don't think that I don't think I'm more sexual as an active wise at this age, at this point, than my younger years. But again, that's for many reasons. It's like Theo said. I agree with everything that she said. And I am more passionate because I'm more self-aware. I'm more clear on what I want. I know what my needs, what my wants and my desires are. So for me, and I'm a more sexual person, I'm more intentional in my sexual encounter, I would say.
Yeah.
And so in that respect.
Yeah, I'm not having sex with everybody, right? Like, it's like this. I could date a bunch of people. That doesn't mean I have to sleep with all of those people. Right. Or I might be like the girl who decided that, hey, I'm not having sex again until I'm married, right? Like, I don't know. But I know that, it's not a game changer. I'm not going to leave somebody because they're no longer able to perform.
Okay. That kind of leads to his next question too. He said, would you stay with a guy if he was small? Because that's a medical condition as well.
Is that a medical condition? I don't know if that's a medical condition. So
if it's because it's a medical condition, yes.
But listen, he's saying if like
Edwin is a mess.
So here's the thing, right? Just this real talk. Then that means when we're like, so does that mean when we're having the conversation, do I need to ask you how big? Like, I don't know, because the reality is, from this standpoint, I might the first time when we are ready to engage, I might be like, hold up, wait a minute, why put your pants back on? Because we don't even have to start nothing, so I don't have to leave you, right? So I'm just saying, I can't.
Not having to leave because we didn't start is wild.
I mean, I'm just saying. There's so much stuff left out, because is that really a medical condition?
Oh God!
Like, what makes it a medical condition? Like, I would want to know what makes that a medical condition.
If I'm gonna stay with you, I'm gonna stay with you. I'm gonna stay with you no matter what. Yeah, she said, "Put your pants back on," is what she said. But for me, if I'm gonna stay with you, I'm gonna stay with you, I'm gonna stay with you. If it's medical conditions or if that's just what it is, and again, it's how much I care about you. It's how much I care, okay, if he's born that way, I mean, again, it's not, I don't really want to say that size doesn't matter, on one degree, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. It's how we work with what you have. How we gonna work with what we got. It's like trying to, when you got to go in the kitchen and figure out what we're gonna eat tonight, and you don't have everything that you need to make a specific meal. So you start pulling from what you have. We're gonna make it work with what we got. It's that's how we do it. We make it work. That's right. It's the motion in the ocean. That's right.
You
Take it
make
back.
work, but here's the thing. He's saying, would you stay? Right? So you meet the person, you have the conversation about what your expectations are, your first encounter, how you working with the 5 inches.
Right.
So sis, the first encounter, would you stay?
No.
That's the part that,
knowing me, honestly, I would because either way. Okay, so we have to, or let me read this comment first before I engage further. Landon says, ain't about how many steps you take, you reach her peak destination. Bomb, period.
you gotta find a spot. You gotta find a spot.
Right. So I want to make sure we get that in. And to answer your question, I'm a firm believer. The first time you engage with anybody is always awkward. It just, I don't care what nobody says. As much as you may be enjoying and engaging, for me, I'm sorry, but if I'm not laughing, I'm not having a good time. But the first time, because we're learning each other. I got to figure out what, so it's always awkward, but you work it out. You make it easy. I would stay because it's like, okay, it's the first time, and it's the first time. So we'll see as time goes on. Now,
how much time?
How
much time?
Now or pre reformation?
Yeah, because I was talking pre.
Okay. You know what? You ridiculous. I was
talking pre, so you can answer from pre.
I would, Edwin. Yes, I would.
So you would stay
pre-reform, Dawn.
Because pre-reform would have told them to put their pants back. But
pre-reform, I might have been like, because I had a flashback. I'm like,
you had that experience. You remember it?
I had the experience. I was just like, you know what, bro? It's okay. We good. I'm like, because this is not good. Because I don't feel like pretending. Like, I'm not, back then I was like, I didn't drink. I haven't had enough to drink. I'm not even, like, you know what I'm saying? And before I start laughing and really hurt your feelings, like, we don't even need to do this today.
Oh my goodness.
This was I'm being honest. I have been in that situation. I was like, because I was we can't even, I'm not even sure, because I don't know how to fake that. I don't even know how to help guide you. I don't know how to, I don't know, pre-dawn. Yeah. Pre-reform dawn. Yes. Reform dawn. I'm different now. So, but
reform us would think we would have a lot more thought, compassion, empathy, all of that. Yeah. But now, no, I definitely would, because it's not the end all be all. There's other things you compensate in other ways, it's not always that, but you have to know how to use, and you got to know what you're doing.
Yes, when pre-reform doing is I'm reformed now. I have changed my ways, and I have.
Back in the days, we would respond to so many things, and so.
I straightway would like. I keep telling people this cuteness comes with some stuff. Y'all don't really be ready sometimes, but I'm like, pre-reform before my reformation. I would probably tell you straight away, I really would. But reformed on, I have a different understanding, just at a different place in life. And and even back then, I wasn't really even trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I've just always been. I was in the mindset of like, I don't like to beat around the bush about things, because when you do, it creates misconceptions and misunderstandings. And I never want anyone to misinterpret what I'm saying. So I would just be like, straightway, I'm going to tell you what it is, because I want you to understand. I'm like, I'm never going to apologize for what I said, because I say what I mean, but I will apologize for how I said it. So Reformed Dawn has found a softer way to say what she's meaning, to get her point across, because honestly, I really don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But for me, it's not about it's not about size in that sense. It has to be attached to my feelings for you. And it has to be, because we learn each other as we go along. We learn, and what you like today, you might not like a month from now. What you don't like today, you might enjoy 2 months from now. So I'm never going to down a man for size. Like, we're not going to do that. It's just not what we're going to do. So that's that boogie down Bronx attitude. Factual. You already know.
I say we both from the Bronx. So
that's what it is. That's what it is. That's how we vibing tonight. This has been a great, absolutely amazing After Dark show. Sex
we might be in trouble tomorrow.
I hope not. I don't think we violated anything today. We gonna we'll be all right. We'll be all right. But these are conversations again that we need to.
But they're real conversations that you have to have. I think, especially at this age, because I will honestly tell you,
especially at this age, more time behind us that we do in front of us. I know I do. So
because now we would actually look at things differently. Because honestly, just listening to you say how you would think about it back in the day, the younger me, I might have ghost some of them. Like, if I didn't really like, I'd be like, whatever, right? Depending, like you said, depending on if I like the person, how much I like them, I might have just been like, you know what? I'm just not answering my phone anymore.
Absolutely.
So definitely now I think we're mature, we've grown, we've done the work, we're self-aware, right? So
it's important. These After Dark conversations are conversations that need to be had, that we need to have, but we don't have, but should be had. And again, we try to keep it clean and classy. We try to keep it to the point. We open to everyone's thoughts, feelings, and opinions. We just keep it respectful, and we appreciate all the engagement and all of the comments. It was as damn you would ghost that person back in the day.
Possibly.
Back in the day, it'd be like your feelings is gonna get hurt one way or another, either by my words or my absence. It's like, but that was
not now.
That was different. Now we handle things differently.
Grown up.
So this conversation of sex expectations, so that we are aware and we are awake and enlightened as to how we need to engage and have Lord. Now, Edwin, are you crying? How we need to.
Oh yeah, I love what Landon said.
Oh, let me see. Yeah, love under new management means we can do this however we choose. Thanks, sisters. Listen, absolutely, Landon. Perfect ending comment to the show.
That is a perfect comment.
We're gonna leave that up. We're gonna leave it up.
Because in all reality, at this stage in the game, it's a conversation that for me, I think, like I said earlier, as you're growing together, as you're evolving together, you may have to shift what that looks like. Right. And so it definitely should be, love under management, because that's how you maintain the relationship.
Yeah, and if I'm gonna hold you down, if I'm all in, I'm all in. That means you're good, you're bad, your successes and your shortcomings.
Yeah.
Just saying, we take them all because it's a part of you, and I have to love you fully, and unconditionally. I have to love you without conditions. I have to love you. I won't say without boundaries, but because we all have to have boundaries, because it can't just be a free for all. But I have to take everything that comes with you, if I care for you, and knowing that I wouldn't say that that is a lack anywhere, but I would just say that it is a it's a definitely got shortcomings. Listen,
we all have shortcomings.
But you know, even with those shortcuts, but it's okay. Again, it doesn't, whatever shortcomings that we have, it is not the end all be all of who we are, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about it, you know. And as long as we're enjoying each other in our space in whatever way, you know, we create that dynamic. It's not a place of judgment, it's a place of safety. You know, but when it comes to sex expectations, we need to be able to have real healthy and real adult healthy conversations that are truthful and honest, and allow each other space to grow and allow each other space to learn one another and develop our own new dynamic, not bring baggage or experiences or the memories from prior relationships, because if those other spaces were so good, we would still be there. But let's be fresh, like you said, love under new management in this new space and create something amazing together with our shortcomings as well as our strengths. So, Theo, what's your last words on tonight?
I mean, I would say I definitely love what Landon said, but I also want to speak to the shortcomings, right? Because we all have shortcomings. We all have flaws. We are always growing, right? And so I think part of it is also is how intentional are you in your relationship, right? How intentional are you in thinking about how, you know, you're going to grow together, you're going to evolve together, right? Because we all have shortcomings, but if you're not willing, for me, if you're not willing to work on your shortcomings, then we might have to sit down and have a conversation, right? Because the thing is, we're not just going to, you know, be together and, you know, you got shortcomings or you're going through something, but you don't want to talk about it. So for me, communication would be key, right? And there needs to be an understanding of how are we going to work through certain issues, because as we grow, as we evolve, right, the dynamics of the relationship is going to change. So how do we continue to love each other through those changes?
And that's a conversation worth having. You know, thank you, Coach Theo, for being with us here on tonight, y'all. It is Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B. This has been our special edition of After Dark Conversations, where we keep it real, we keep it raw, and we keep it respectful. So, with that being said, I hope that you all have enjoyed this conversation. Shout out to my girl, Coach Theo, part of our Thursday night crew and our ladies' room member. I want to invite you all to come back next Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will be talking from the topic of Pretty for a Big Girl. We're talking about self-image, we're talking about self-acceptance, and we are talking about changing the norm, changing the narrative of please stop giving these back-ended compliments, because they're not compliments at all. So, like the channel, subscribe. Please hit that thumbs button on your way out if you didn't on your way in. Thank you to the people who are up in the expensive seats, the silent section. As always, you know you can come down to the comment section because it is a safe space. We got security here and we will keep you tight. Again, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the good stuff that's happening. We are wrapping up month 5 next week, and promise you want to be here for the month of June. The men's month, the men's lounge is going to be on fire all month long. And you know my motto for the men's lounge: something happens when men speak. So you want to be up here in the place to make sure that you hear and see what happens when our men are up here speaking. We're going to have the ladies' room, we're going to have the men's lounge, we're going to have my friend Melvin Phillips coming on to kick off the month of June, talking about his book, I'm Divorced Now What? You can go on bookcatch.com and then join us here the first Thursday in June so that we can talk about it. He's going to come share with us. So again, from Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B, and the Bravo with Sheila Network, the entire Thursday night part, we say thank you for watching. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time. Don't worry, After Dark will be back next month as well. Have a great night, everybody. See y'all soon.
Good night.
Much love to you all.
loser on the floor. Get down. Let me clear my throat. Yeah. Oh, that's better. That's better. Somebody pass around the offering. Cause I'm always preaching on tracks, you feel me? I'm about to get paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informant, that information for me. Important, you get a portion of fortune pouring.